The Assembly will please come to order. The Chief Clerk will call the roll.
Assemblywoman Anderson, Assemblywoman Backus, Assemblywoman Bilbert Axelrod, Assemblywoman Brown May, Assemblyman Carter, Assemblywoman Cohen, Assemblywoman Considine, Assemblyman DeLong, Assemblywoman Dickman, Assemblyman De Silva, Assemblywoman Duran, Assemblywoman Gallant, Assemblywoman Gonzalez, Assemblywoman Gorlow, Assemblyman Gray, Assemblyman Gurr, Assemblyman Hafen, Assemblywoman Hanson, Assemblywoman Hardy, Assemblyman Hibbets, Assemblywoman Howdigi, Assemblywoman Kasama, Assemblyman Koenig, Assemblywoman LaRue Hatch, Assemblywoman Marzola, Assemblyman MacArthur, Assemblywoman Brittany Miller, Assemblyman C.H. Miller, Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno, Assemblywoman Mosca, Assemblywoman Newby, Assemblyman Wynn, Assemblyman O'Neill, Assemblyman Orant-Licker, Assemblywoman Peters, Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong, Assemblywoman Taylor, Assemblywoman Thomas, Assemblywoman Torres, Assemblyman Watts, Assemblyman Urick, Speaker Yeager.
Here. Assemblywoman Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May the record reflect that we have 41 members present, 1 excused.
The record shall so reflect there are 41 members present, 1 excused. There is a quorum. The Assembly will please rise for the prayer by Father Thomas Babu, St. Teresa of Avila Catholic Community.
Good morning, and happy to be here this morning to lead you and this assembly in prayer. Almighty and eternal light of the world, you are the Prince of Peace. You love justice. You made it self-evident to us that all human beings are created equal. Through your goodness, open our eyes to see the dignity, beauty, and worth of every human being. Open our minds to understand that all your children are brothers and sisters in the same human family. Open our hearts to repent of any attitudes, behaviors, and speech which demean others. Open our ears to hear the cries of those wounded by racial discrimination and their passionate appeals for change. We pray for all who fight for justice and equality, who give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. As for the leaders of this great state, help them to be just leaders. Fill them with courage to make choices that are right and just. Help them to heal wounds, build bridges, and establish peace and equality for all in our communities. God, you are our refuge and our strength, a very present help in times of trouble. We offer our prayers today in a special way, asking that you provide the people in Turkey and Syria who are in the throes of the unfathomable devastation of the recent earthquake, refuge from this disaster, and strength to endure its indiscriminate destruction. We ask this blessing in the holy name of our Creator. Amen.
Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We will go to order of business 2, reading and approval of the journal.
Carson City, Monday, February 6, 2023. Pursuant to the provisions of the Constitution and statutes, the Assembly was called to order by Secretary
Assemblywoman
of State.
Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that further reading of the journal be dispensed with and the Speaker and Chief Clerk be authorized to make the necessary corrections and additions.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Order of business number 7, messages from the Senate.
Senate Chamber, Carson City, February 8, 2023. To the Honorable the Assembly. I have the honor to inform your Honorable Body that the Senate on this day adopted Assembly Current Resolution number 2. Sherry Rodriguez, Assistant Secretary of the Senate.
Order of business 8, motions, resolutions, and notices. Assemblywoman Howdiggy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the persons listed on the Nevada Legislature's press accreditation list of February 9th, 2023 be accepted as accredited press representatives, assigned space at the press table in the Assembly chamber, allowed the use of appropriate broadcasting facilities, and that the list be included in the day's journal.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. Order of Business 9, Introduction, First Reading, and Reference of Bills.
Assembly Bill 121, introduced by Assemblywomen Considine and Anderson, an act relating to incarcerated persons requiring institutions and facilities of the Department of Corrections and city or county jails and detention facilities to provide incarcerated persons with original physical copies of mail under certain circumstances, requiring such institutions, facilities, and jails to provide notification to certain persons of a serious or critical medical condition of an incarcerated person, requiring such institutions, facilities, and jails to ensure the timely filling of prescriptions and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 121 be referred to your Committee on Judiciary.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 122, introduced by Assemblyman Yeager and Hafen, an act relating to tobacco, providing an exception to the age verification requirements governing the sale, distribution, or offering for sale of tobacco products within certain areas of a casino, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 122 be referred to your Committee on Judiciary.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 123, introduced by Assemblywoman Hardy, an act relating to residential leasing, setting forth certain requirements and restrictions relating to policies of rental obligations insurance, authorizing a landlord and a tenant or prospective tenant to enter into a rental assurances agreement, requiring a landlord to enter into a rental assurances agreement with a prospective tenant under certain circumstances, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Marzola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 123 be referred to your Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 124, introduced by Assemblywoman Hardy, an act relating to osteopathic medicine, revising provisions governing the submission of evidence of completion of continuing education to the State Board of Osteopathic Medicine, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Marzola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 124 be referred to your Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 125, introduced by Assemblywoman Backus, an act relating to public safety, requiring the tribal liaison for the Department of Public Safety to maintain ongoing communication relating to missing or murdered Indigenous persons between the department and certain entities, requiring a law enforcement agency to accept a report relating to certain persons missing from an Indian reservation or Indian colony located in whole or in part in the state, requiring the Peace Officers Standards and Training Commission to adopt certain regulations for the training of peace officers related to missing Indigenous persons, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 125 be referred to your Committee on Judiciary.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 126, introduced by Assemblyman Wynn, Senator Wynn. An act relating to business entities, authorizing certain business entities to correct an erroneously filed record with the Office of the Secretary of State, clarifying provisions concerning certain records required to be kept by certain business entities, clarifying provisions relating to certain actions available to a board of directors of a corporation, establishing the circumstances under which a corporation may decrease the number of certain issued and outstanding shares without a vote of the stockholders, revising provisions related to stock certificates, revising provisions governing restrictions on transfers of stock, authorizing a board of directors to require confidentiality agreement with certain persons, revising the definition of the term acquisition for certain purposes, establishing the circumstances under which a corporation may change the name of a corporation without a vote of the stockholders, revising provisions governing the restatement of articles of incorporation, clarifying provisions relating to the sale of certain assets, revising various definitions relating to dissenters' rights, making various other changes relating to business entities, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 126 be moved to your Committee on Judiciary.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 127, introduced by Assemblywoman Howdiggy, an act relating to insurance, prohibiting an insurer from treating Medicare supplemental policies differently for certain purposes relating to the payment of commissions, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Marzola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 127 be referred to your Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 128, introduced by Assemblywoman Howdiggy, an act making an appropriation to the Outdoor Education and Recreation Grant Program account for the cost of the program, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 128 be referred to your Committee on Ways and Means.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 129, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs and Act relating to counties, revising the membership of the County Fair and Recreation Board of certain counties and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Torres.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 129 be referred to your Committee on Government Affairs.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 130, introduced by Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod and Considine, an act relating to assisted living, revising provision governing the program to award competitive grants from the Fund for Healthy Nevada to certain assisted living facilities and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 130 be referred to your Committee on Ways and Means.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 131, introduced by Assemblyman Cohen et al., an act relating to forestry, creating the urban and community forestry program within the Division of Forestry of the State Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, setting forth the powers and duties of the State Forester Fire Warden and division relating to the program, authorizing the State Forester Fire Warden to award grants to promote urban and community forestry and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 131 be referred to your Committee on Natural Resources.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 132, introduced by Assemblyman Cohen and Orant Liquor, an act relating to public health, creating the committee to review overdose fatalities, providing for the membership of the committee, setting forth the powers and duties of the committee, requiring certain information to be made available to the committee, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 132 be referred to your Committee on Health and Human Services.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 133, introduced by Assemblywomen Bilbray Axelrod and Considine, an act relating to driver's licenses, requiring under certain circumstances that the Department of Motor Vehicles place a designation on the driver's license of a person who is deaf or hard of hearing and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblyman Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 133 be referred to your Committee on Growth and Infrastructure.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 134, introduced by the Committee on Commerce and Labor, an act relating to pharmaceutical sales representatives, providing for the licensure and regulation of pharmaceutical sales representatives, providing a penalty, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Marzola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 134 be referred to your Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 135, introduced by the Committee on Health and Human Services, an act relating to homelessness, revising the process for persons who are homeless to apply for a certified or official copy of a birth certificate, requiring the Nevada Housing Crisis Response System to assist persons in crisis who are applying for a state identification card, revising the requirements for the issuance of a state identification card to certain homeless children and youth, requiring certain counties to develop a strategic plan to address homelessness, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 135 be referred to your Committee on Health and Human Services.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 136, introduced by the Committee on Health and Human Services, an act relating to child welfare, requiring all qualified residential treatment programs for children to be licensed and regulated as child care institutions, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 136 be referred to your Committee on Health and Human Services.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 137, introduced by the Committee on Health and Human Services, an act relating to fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, making certain provisions applicable to fetal alcohol spectrum disorders, providing that fetal alcohol spectrum disorder is a developmental disability, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 137 be referred to your Committee on Health and Human Services.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 138, introduced by the Committee on Health and Human Services, an act relating to Medicaid, requiring the state plan for Medicaid to include coverage for certain behavioral health integration services, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 138 be referred to your Committee on Health and Human Services.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 139, introduced by Assemblyman Brittany Miller et al., Senator Wynn, an act relating to governmental agencies, requiring a governmental agency that collects demographic information on race or ethnicity to include a category for persons of Middle Eastern or North African descent, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Torres.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 139 be referred to your hardest working Committee of Government Affairs.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 140, introduced by Assemblyman Thomas et al., Senator Spearman et al., an act relating to legal holidays, making Juneteenth Day a legal holiday in the state, and providing other matters properly laid thereto.
Assemblywoman Torres.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 140 be referred to your hardworking Committee on Government Affairs.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 141, introduced by Assemblyman O'Neill, an act relating to industrial insurance, revising provisions governing the administration of a plan of insurance by certain associations of self-insured employers, eliminating assessments relating to a subsequent injury account, prohibiting certain claims against a subsequent injury account, repealing certain provisions relating to third-party administrators, and providing an administrative lane thereto.
Assemblywoman Marzola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 141 be referred to your Committee on Commerce and Labor.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 142, introduced by Assemblyman O'Neill, an act relating to property, authorizing certain sales of property to be conducted on an internet website or other electronic medium under certain circumstances, revising the time and manner in which certain sales of property may be conducted, revising notice requirements relating to certain sales of property, prohibiting certain persons from becoming a purchaser or being interested in the purchase of certain sales of property, and providing other measures appropriate thereto.
Assemblywoman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 142 be referred to your Committee on Judiciary.
Without objection, so referred.
Assembly Bill 143, introduced by Assemblyman O'Neill, an act relating to counties authorizing under certain circumstances the Board of County Commissioners to convey without consideration real property acquired directly from the federal government for purposes of clearing title to certain persons, exempting such transfers from the real property transfer tax, and providing other matters properly thereto.
Assemblywoman Torres.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 143 be referred to your hardest working Committee on Government Affairs.
Without objection, so referred. We'll go next to Order of Business 13, unfinished business of the preceding day. There being no objections, the Speaker and Chief Clerk will sign Assembly Concurrent Resolution 1, Assembly Resolutions 1, 2, and 3, and Senate Bill 1. We'll next go to Order of Business 15, remarks from the floor, and we'll start with Assemblywoman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order Business 15.
Order Business 15.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I would like to recognize the Nevada Millikan Educator Award winners. The awards honor top educators around the country who are early to mid-career education professionals. They're recognized by, quote, their already impressive achievements, and more significantly, for the promise of what they will accomplish in the future, as well as individuals whose contributions to education are largely unheralded, yet worthy of the spotlight, unquote, from the Millikan Education Awards website. Of the 30 educators honored this year, 10% are from our beautiful state of Nevada. All 3 are elementary school teachers, and 2 of the teachers teach in schools in Assembly District 30. Liz Barnum, a 3rd grade teacher at Catherine Dunn, a school just 2 blocks away from where I live, is creating engaging lessons that challenge the class and spur a love of learning, not only for her students, but also through the mentoring of her peers and others in the field of education. Jason Murray, a 3rd and 4th grade teacher at Florence Drake, my elementary school alma mater, designs interactive, engaging lessons, and again, mentors other teachers. Both educators' enthusiasm, love of learning, and dedication to our students are something we should recognize, admire, and be inspired by. The 3rd educator is actually from my colleague from Assembly District 33's area, and I believe he will be recognizing her momentarily, so I do not wish to take away that thunder. Finally, I would request that both of our comments be included in the Daily Journal, and thank you for allowing us this moment to recognize just 3 of the amazing educators.
Assemblyman Gurr.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my colleague from District 33. The 3rd winner, and these teachers all got $25,000 checks that they didn't even know were coming, so it's a great thing. Riley Soriano is a kindergarten teacher in West Wendover Elementary School. She holds high expectations for kindergartners at Nevada's West Wendover Elementary. Soriano makes strong connections with her young learners, supporting them as they acquire new skills and grow both academically and socially throughout the year. Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. I think this recognition is really warranted for these 3 teachers. Thank you.
Assemblyman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have the privilege today of showing to our body a former colleague of ours, Pat Hickey, who has the unique history of representing two districts, 8027 in the mid-90s and then 8025. He is also a former minority leader, so we have a relationship, you might say, or at least some similarities. He's currently working as a freelance writer. He's been a published author in several books, and he has a Sunday column in the Reno paper. I'd like the body to welcome Mr. Hickey with us today. Thank you.
Welcome back, Assemblyman. Do we have any other order of business 15? Assemblyman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am going to make this announcement at the invitation of my colleague from District 27, who made sure that our Nevada Black Legislative Caucus were informed of this second annual Capital City Black History Program. Just wanted to make an announcement to let everyone know that that is happening this evening at 6 p.m. at Western Nevada College. So tonight, 6 p.m., Western Nevada College is the second annual Capital City Black History Program. Thank you.
Do we have any other order of business 15? Assemblywoman Howdigi.
Mr. Speaker, 1 minute recess.
1 minute recess. The Assembly will come back to order. I will note that the remarks made under Order of Business 15 will be included as part of today's journal. And one last call for Order of Business 15. Assemblywoman Howdigi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Some announcements for the floor. Today, there was a community health provider luncheon for those of you who attended in room 3100. So started at 11:30 and it's going till 1:30 if you would like to stop by. There is also today in room 3100 beginning at 5 p.m. an LGBTQ plus legislative caucus training. The training will be hosted by the Legislative Caucus to train allied legislators. And last, there is a Nevada Law Enforcement Legislative Welcome Reception including cocktails and appetizers, sponsored by the Nevada Sheriffs and Chiefs Association and the Nevada District Attorneys Association, and that will be held at the Nevada State Museum from 5:30 to 7:30. And last, Mr. Speaker, I move that the Assembly stand adjourned until Monday, February 13th at the hour of 11:30.
Assemblywoman Howdigi has moved that the Assembly stand adjourned until Monday, February 13th at the hour of 11:30 a.m. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. We are adjourned.